So, we're going to do a bit of an experiment today. Here's the problem I have. We swapped in a transmission for the 280Z, a 5-speed, instead of the 4, which I may or may not have explained up to this point, but anyway, we did that. We weren't sure if it was going to work, or like what the condition of the transmission was. We pulled it from another vehicle. That vehicle had been sitting for years, so who knows. Not knowing whether or not it was good, I put lower grade gear oil in it, like just cheap stuff. And from driving it around, it seems the synchros are quite worn, not gone entirely, so when it's warm, the transmission actually shifts fairly well, but as soon as it gets cold, and because it's a conventional oil, not a synthetic like I had in the transmission, at the 4-speed transmission, when it's cold, it's as if there are no synchros at all. So it'll lock you out of gear, or if you go to shift, even with rev matching, because the gears aren't lined up, it'll grind, and you don't want that because it wears out the gears and creates extra metal content in the oil, which creates more wear. Anyway, the gears are the things that are hard to replace. There isn't a big aftermarket for it, so you can't just replace the shafts which the gears are attached to. Some of the gears you can, I think it's 4th and 5th, but I don't have those because I had a 4-speed, so not compatible. So I have to replace the synchros anyway. So I'm gonna pick up those synchros and replace them, but it doesn't make sense to switch the gear oil out right now for while I'm driving it in the winter to a synthetic, because that's going to cost probably 60 extra bucks for something that's just going to be dumped out in a month or two. So I'm trying to find a temporary solution, but really there aren't a lot of additives that deal with this problem, because the USDM, being the market of most things, doesn't really have the temperatures we see here, and if they do, it's very infrequent, so that it's not something they'd make products for. So I have to find something that lowers the cold viscosity without reducing the running temperature viscosity. I'll show you downstairs. This here is the crappy cheap oil that I put into the transmission. It's a GL4, GL5. Reportedly, from the company who makes it, they said it's yellow metal safe. Whether it is or not, I don't know. And I guess if the synchros suck, it doesn't really matter anyway, because I need to replace them. Really not suited for this environment. It's like minus 18 or so that they're tested to, and even then the viscosity is really high. So I'm going to try with this synthetic, mixing a little bit of this in. So I picked 40 weight because they're both very much this, or very close enough to the same viscosity at the highest temperature. At room temperature, this one is obviously significantly lower than this, but I picked 0W40, and since it's synthetic, it's good for a much lower temperature, so that I can add as little of this as possible to this to hopefully improve the cold viscosity so that the synchros actually work. Now we'll get to testing what sort of proportions I'll need to combine these to get the sort of results that I'm looking for. This is a lot of playing it by ear and eyeballing it, so could go well, could go poorly. At the end of the day, any improvement is good, because this is just a temporary fix until I replace the synchros. So I've thrown
some of the gear oil in the freezer.
So this is the 80W. I don't know what the temperature is exactly, but you can see it's quite viscous. And this should be the 0W40 that I picked up, hoping that I'd be able to mix the two. So you can see it's viscous, but not too bad. Gonna mix some of the thinner oil in with the thicker oil, but just a bit, because if it thins out too much, that'll cause other problems for the transmission. Let's start with that and then add more as it goes. So that's probably like an eighth-ish. Alright, so I misplaced my stir stick, but I'll stir it up. Okay, that looks fairly mixed now. The viscosity is already lowering. Part of it's because I mixed it, but it's also going to be just because it's warming up. So I'll throw them back into the freezer and see how they compare to before. This isn't technical, but realistically I'm not going to be able to get a perfect answer anyway. Alright, so let's try and take a quick look before the battery dies. So this is the 0W40. And this is the mixed. That's a lot better than it was before. If I could measure it, I'd say it's, 50 to 100% more viscous than the 0W40, but it's, yeah, that warmed up already. It's still way better than it was, and that's really the whole point of this, is just to make it better. So, every little bit helps increase the longevity of the transmission. So we're just going to quickly let those sit, reach room temperature, then I'll probably compare the viscosity of the mix to the original, see where we're at, and then decide, at this point, from what I'm seeing, I will definitely be adding it to the transmission. How much I will add is really the question. And then I'll show you guys the before and after effect with the transmission, and then we'll see whether or not it was a good thing to do. You'll find out, I'll find out, but you don't have to risk money for it, so good for you guys. So everything is pretty much room temperature now. The 0W40 is, very low viscosity. The mix appears to be lower viscosity than it was originally, which makes sense. So about 1/8 of this is 0W40 and the rest is 80W90. But both of them are a little bit murky because they're dissolving the wax in these cups. So it's still fairly viscous, so I think that's an okay mix. For regular transmission, I would not be recommending this for people. We'll see how it works out, because I may end up saying don't even do it regardless. But I think I'm gonna stick with the 1/8 ratio for now, and I'm gonna quickly dispose of these safely, add it to some of the other old oil I have, and then compare the mix, the original 80W90, which is downstairs. Oop. Depth perception is off. Alright, so you just saw the pour rate of this, and you can kind of see what the viscosity is like. Sorry about the fluorescent lights, I know they suck. So you can tell this one is definitely faster, not like insanely faster, but sorry, I should say. So you can definitely tell that this one has lower viscosity than this. I'm going to throw those back into the freezer, and then we'll check what the cold viscosity is like for comparison. If it's still the same, I'll add a little bit more 0W40. If it's significantly less, I'm going to say, like if it's 50% more viscous, or something huge like that, I'll just leave it with 1/8. We'll test that in the car. Just trying to make it out of the way of my food. So let's take a quick look, see how things have chilled. Alright, so I already took a peek at these, so I already know what happened. But, so you can see
if I can hold this while also shaking them both simultaneously. Okay. So as you can see,
as you no doubt saw, the unmixed is like more than twice the viscosity of the mixed when it's cold, which is a good sign, which means the mixed will be an improvement.
With some additional wear from the reduced viscosity.
Alright, so here's the mix. Man, I'm really bad at that depth perception thing. Save it! No, I'll clean it up later. Use my eyes, not the camera. Think I would learn that by now. And here is the unmixed. Oh yeah, that's going so fast. Not at all. It's still stuck to the top. Alright, I'm going to clean this up. I bet a lot of you are wondering what I have for you today. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very important day. It's the day you've been waiting for. It's the day that is the same day as you were watching the last video. So now we're going to actually add the lighter oil, the engine oil, to the transmission. And I'll walk you through what we're going to do before we go outside into where it's cold and do that. So first we're going to undo the drain plug. Then we will pour exactly 1 cup, which is what this mason jar has been marked to, the top of this piece of tape. And then we are going to take this and pour in exactly 250 milliliters into the funnel, through the hose, and into the transmission. But you will notice immediately there's an issue here. Oh, sorry, I'm doing this through the camera. You'll notice immediately, I'm doing the Salt Bay thing right now with the camera. You'll notice immediately that this hose isn't big enough for this funnel. In fact, it can fit inside the funnel if I actually look at it. And yeah, that's moving on. I could just pour it straight in and, you know, whatever spillage happens. I mean, I could just hold it tight like this. That may be the best way of doing it, because I was hoping that this piece, it's from a fountain, I'd hoped that it might fit on top here as a sort of extension. And while it's wide enough, it doesn't have enough depth, so we'll probably end up with the same situation anyway. I don't know which is better at this point. I think it's probably easier to hold it the way I had it rather than like this. I think we're just going to go with the hose in the funnel option and hope for the best. So I can't remember if I've actually shown you guys under here in the past or not. Anyway, drain plug and fill plug is up here. I think that's 17 millimeters or 19. I'm not sure. I don't know if I have the right size wrench. So I've become lazy and just use adjustable crescent wrench. You're in my way, guys. Okay. Bring that under there in case the fill plug is going to leak out, because I think I slightly overfilled it.
And no. Most impressive. I should really buy the proper tool for this. Now I'm going to have to be very quick about this. Assuming this is lined up well. I'm not certain. So I'm going to try and clean it as well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that. Oh, nope, I did not. Come on. Look how much extra I took out. It's okay, I can just add it back in. Actually, I have some fresh stuff I can throw back in. Yes, definitely no wear and metal particles in that jar. So we got about half a cup too much. But again, the more bad oil we take out, the more good gear oil we can throw back in. Well, also, I've never done, this is technically the flush, as I've mentioned, so it's an extended flush because I have to take it out and rebuild it anyway. But because my original plan was to flush out all the garbage from however long ago, and I haven't quite done that yet, so this still has all of the garbage in it. It's got a greenish tinge, which it always had, but I think because of the viscosity, I'll actually be able to pour it into here without making a huge mess, but we'll see, because living on the edge is what it's all about. Now, watch the camera or watch my pour. Okay, I'll try and raise this up so you can see just how little or much dirt there is in the oil. Doesn't actually look that bad, aside from my shivering. I mean, it's dirty. Obviously there's going to be wear from the gears grinding, but it's not like it was doing it constantly. And as I said, it had some of that goop in before from sitting for however long. So I was just thinking that before, when I was trying to wipe off the drain plug while also draining the transmission oil, you know, if I wasn't holding the camera with one hand, I would have been able to quickly, you know, have the rag ready beside it, wipe it off, put it up. So essentially, it's all your fault. It has nothing to do with me being overestimating my abilities or underestimating how fast it would pour. I'm just kidding, guys. Realistically, like I said, if it overdrained, it's not the end of the world, because I have more. We're going to add our cup of 0W40. And there. I'm just going to add, I'll grab that, some of this now, so it'll be easier to fill. Add it up to that 3/4 mark. I mean, I did spill a bit, so probably a touch more. And then I'll top up the rest by doing the annoying squeezy way. Alright, well, I guess here goes a mess. I really hope this doesn't fall out. Such a pain when that happens. It's too cold for this. Problem is I can't turn the camera off now. I'm just gonna have to sit here and watch the bubbles slowly go through. I'm losing feeling in my fingers. Okay, that wasn't actually too bad. I only lost like, I don't know, a teaspoon? Not even a teaspoon. A graduated smidgen. Oh no. Oh, I really can't move my hand. Just don't drop the hose. I'm gonna go for the reach. Wish me luck. There we go. I don't know if I can push the button. So now you're gonna sit here and watch while I try and pour the rest of this in quickly. Best thing I could have done right there is drop this rack, and that's what I did. That went fairly well. I don't know how much I actually poured in though. Let's see if it's dripping. Okay. So that's dealt with. All right. So I filled it to the brim. You check by just sticking your finger in the hole. Make sure your finger is clean first. Always make sure your finger is clean before sticking it in things. All right, now that that's in, wipe everything down so you can tell if it's leaking. I put the camera on soft focus, and by that I mean I walked inside where it's warmer, so you can't see anything right now. Give it a minute. I cleaned off the lens for you guys. Hopefully that's made it a little bit better. It's still a little pitted from welding and probably mostly grinding, I actually think, is what caused that. High velocity sparks. So the 0W40 75W, or I guess 80W90 mix is in the transmission now. So I'll, drive it around a little bit, report back to you. If I notice it's not grinding anymore, I'll bring you with me one cold morning. Could be any cold morning, because that's, any morning basically. Even if it's just a little bit less, it's better than what it was. So we'll see how it goes. Well, you're gonna stay there for a little bit, camera.
Coming up, just listen for this next downshift. Not this one, the next one. So the result was that I found a little bit of difference, but I needed to put in, I think, 50% to 100% more of the 0W40. I don't know if that Pennzoil Platinum was yellow metal safe, but if you're in a bind, give it a try and only use it as a temporary fix. See you guys in the next one.